Now this is something to get excited about because Chevy's just dropped the new Corvette ZR1 with over 1,000 horsepower. Everybody thought it's gonna have maybe 850, 950 tops, and then they come out with a twin turbo V8 with 1,064 horsepower, and I love that they did that. They also have a lot of carbon fiber pieces on here with this package that we're gonna look at in a minute, and it's starting to feel like Corvette now. It sort of feels almost like it does feel like a proper supercar. The only thing is the history with the name Corvette not being a proper supercar, but when it comes to the specs, and I would say the design as well, it looks and goes like a proper supercar these days. So we're gonna have a look at this design. I'm gonna compare it, the carbon fiber package to the non-carbon fiber package. Also love the wheels that we have on this. The wheels has just gotten better with the C8. They started off with some very ugly wheels, in my opinion, for the base C8, and then the E-Ray got the E-Ray got very cool. I think it was 5-spoke wheels, but very thick spokes, beautiful design, and now we have even better looking wheels for the ZR1. So before we jump into Photoshop here, let's have a look at this article from Car and Drive. There's a lot to go through here. I'm going to link this down below if you want to read the full article. So 2025 Chevy Corvette ZR1 has 1,064 horsepower and is poised to slay supercars. The first turbocharged Vette is by far the most powerful production version ever built. And the wow stats doesn't stop there. You have a 5.5 liter twin turbo V8, estimated top speed 215 miles per hour, and the available aero kit brings 1,200 pounds of downforce at that top speed. It's insane. Specifically, the rear wing is just massive park bench on the rear deck. Quarter mile in stock form under 10 seconds. Now the last C7 Corvette ZR1 set the bar with its 755 horsepower supercharged 6.2 liter V8. Now this one, the ZR1 C8, has more power than two C6 Z06s, which is insane because those still had 505 horsepower from a naturally aspirated 7 liter V8. 828 pound-feet of torque. The first 800 of that is available at 3,000 RPM, so it's going to have a lot of power very low down in the rev range, which is also great. Rear-wheel drive only. With over 1,000 horsepower, you gotta have the traction control on point, or I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, if you floor it with that much power without traction control, these tires have to be something special to put all the power down. The new ZR1 has the power and the track hardware to engage in wheel-to-wheel combat with the world's best supercars. Unlike every other C8 Corvette, the ZR1 ditches the front trunk, and now we have this Ferrari Pista-like hood. So you have air flowing in here and then shooting up here, creating this entire piece in the front end is actually a static, the part of the bodywork actually functions as a front wing. You have new duct built into the air sides that cools the rear brakes, and there are more cooling ducts for the engine that are found on the coupe's rear hatch. And the split window is back. So we have the original split windows from, I do believe, the 60s, maybe 63 or something like that, is now coming back on the coupe version of the ZR1. And they also come standard with magnetic ride 4.0 dampers and a staggered set of wheels, 20s in the front and 21 inches in the rear. Usually I'm not a huge fan of staggered wheel setup like that, but in this case you can barely see the difference, and I feel like this package feels more natural to have a staggered setup with the 21s in the rear, 20s in the front, because it already looks like a Hot Wheels without that. I think this suits this better than, for example, the BMWs, the M cars that have the same setup. You have the ZTK package, and that is the front dive planes, underbody strakes for added front downforce, a tall gurney flap that attaches to a lip on the hood, and a large rear wing. Carbon ceramic rotors measuring 15.7 inches up front and 15.4 in the back. The biggest factory brakes. Every ZR1 has a carbon fiber roof as well. Even the Convertible now has a carbon fiber roof, something that has not been done before. You can also option it with the carbon fiber wheels. The instrument cluster looks pretty similar to any C8 Corvette. I do like this spec that we have here. I'm also going to show you how I would personally spec this car in a minute. So you have a 12-inch instrument cluster and an 8-inch touchscreen. And thankfully, look at this, we have a nice beautiful housing here. I do like the layout in here. It's very cockpit like you're stepping on a jet fighter. The 2025 Chevy Corvette ZR1 will go into production this year. We don't have any pricing for it yet, but it's probably going to be close or over $200,000. So look at this. This is the website here. Beautiful website, by the way. 1,064 horsepower. This is how I would spec it. So let's go into 3D view. And I don't know. I always been more angled towards natural colors, gray colors. So personally, I would want to have it be in this sea wolf gray. We can turn on the lights here as well, rotate this beauty, and these are the wheels. I would go with the first option for the wheels. I love these wheels that we have here in the gray. You can also have them in black or in this strange blue color. And you also have a couple of other designs here. For example, this design. I'm not sure if this is actually the same design, just different pieces being polished. It looks like it is. And then you have this design as a last option, blacked out. But I'm kind of over black wheels. I want to have it like this. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. For the interior, we also have, by the way, the ZKR package. You can smack that on here and still have the original wheels. And I think this would be my spec for the ZR1. It just looks fantastic. For the interior, I want to have a splash of colors. I would pick this one right here, jet black and adrenaline red for the seats. Very subtle. I like a black dark interior, feels cozy, but at the same time we can have a splash of colors in the stitching here and also on the seat. So with that said, let's jump into Photoshop here and let's check this out. With the ZKR, I think that's the name of the package, and without it, the carbon fiber package. So on the left here, you do have the big carbon fiber package, as you can see. I'm also going to show you the new air vents that we have for, or the cooling ducts that we have for the ZR1 that's not available on any other Corvette. So checking out the front end, I still have the same sort of idea of this overall front end that I had when the C8 first came out. I did make a redesign of this to show you exactly what I was talking about there, and those ideas I still stands for me. You can go and check that out right here on the channel. Just search the Sketch Monkey Corvette C8. You will see what I'm talking about there. I do think this looks better than the standard C8 Corvette because we do have a different front end with these fins pointing in this direction, so pointing outwards here. The problem I've had with the C8 Corvette is that if you draw the lines out, the main key lines, specifically on side view, they don't really have a connection to anything else in the design, and that makes it a little bit messy in my opinion. But again, it looks better than the standard C8 for sure. We also have these horns, whatever you want to call them, in the hood here, looking very nice. The Pista hood, you have air flowing in right here and shooting up from the top of the hood here, creating this big wing in the front end. So looking at the non-carbon fiber package here, it looks very clean. It looks almost exactly like an E-Ray to me. We do have these extra vents and ducts that we're going to talk about, and this, even if you don't go with the carbon fiber package, you still get the hood vent up top. Now looking at the side view here, in this case we do have a yellow with black wheels, and if I blur my eyes like this, it almost looks like a Ferrari in this specific spec. And we also have the big wing in the back. Look how massive this is. I mean, if you're going to have 1,200 pounds of downforce in the rear, in the overall car at 200 miles per hour, you need a proper wing in the rear. What's new here for the ZR1, if you look at this intake, the side intake here, we have an additional brake vent here. So this channels air into the rear wheel well to cool the rear brakes. We also have an additional vent here up top that we don't have on any other C8 Corvette, and some splitters in the front end and this lip in the front as well. These black wheels, again, if you have a bright color like this and some blacked out graphics all around, for example, the side mirrors, this side blade here, the greenhouse, the trim around the greenhouse, black wheels doesn't look too bad in my opinion, but I would still want to have these gorgeous 20s and 21s wheels that we have on the non-carbon fiber package here. 21s in the rear end and 20s right here in the front end. And we also have the same type of integration here. The ZR1 all comes with these extra vents. Now, what I was talking about when it comes to the design, if we draw out the key lines here, we do have one key line, and that is this one right here that does have a connection to the rear end bumper. But if we continue this in the front, it really doesn't connect to anything. Same goes with these angles here. If we draw out different angles, it's very hard to find a similar angle anywhere else on the car, and that to me is what makes this a bit of a messy design when it comes to the line flow of this car, but it's still a pretty cool car. I mean, it's a Chevy Corvette with over 1,000 horsepower from a twin-turbo V8. I applaud Chevy for dropping this car and putting this into production. Here, I love this angle because here you can clearly see just how huge this rear carbon fiber wing is. It looks like almost a Le Mans race car from this angle. And then they asked, how many exhaust pipes do you need in the center? And the boss said, that's right. And they decided to add 4 bazooka pipes right here in the center portion of the rear end. I do think it looks very, very cool. Rear end has always been my favorite view for this car. And I also like that in the ZR1 here, we do have a thinner intake or outlet here with this texture. This black graphic is thinner than what we have on the standard base C8, and I do think that looks a lot better. We also have some outlets here in the lower section. Beautiful integration of the diffuser. I like that it sticks out very high because it removes the mass, and that is what you want on this specific type of car, a supercar like this. Now looking at the convertible here, you can see that we do have some changes. We also have the split window here on the coupe, which we can't really see in this case. But looking at the convertible here, this is an absolutely beautiful angle of this car, because have a look at how wide these rear tires are. They're absolutely massive. You can see it here as well. And this is what makes this, you know, it really makes this a supercar from Chevy, which is crazy to think about. I sort of like this more subtle design of the non-carbon fiber package wing up here. This is the base wing that you get with the ZR1. And honestly, I'm not sure, now that I look at it like this, if I would actually go with the ZKR or the carbon fiber package in this case, because it looks so much cleaner. We don't, personally, I don't maybe not want to add more stuff to an already very complex design. So I'm not sure. I might take that back when it comes to my spec and not spec it with the carbon fiber package, just have it clean like this. And also maybe even go with the convertible, because it is a hardtop. You do have carbon fiber up here, so when it's closed it looks and feels like a proper coupe anyway. And if you want to drop the top, you can always do that. Now looking at the interior here, not a lot of changes from what we've seen in C8s throughout the years. We do have a squared off steering wheel here. I kind of like this design. It looks very cool. Carbon fiber up top here, but what I really love about this design is just the cockpit feel that we have. We have a full digital gauge cluster here, which is totally fine as long as it's enclosed like this in a beautiful housing. Leather up top, carbon fiber pieces on the side here, and we have a small, relatively small, by today's standards, infotainment screen. Don't need any bigger than that. You have a lot of carbon fiber here in the centerpiece as well, and this big wall of physical buttons in the middle, looking very clean. Overall, this is a great enthusiast car from Chevy that I feel we need in this day and age, when everything is turning into EVs, and an EV with 1,000 horsepower will not get nowhere near as much attention as a Corvette like this with a twin turbo V8 and the same power. This is what we want as enthusiasts, and the pricing for this is going to be on the hefty side for sure. And it's kind of strange to think about that you're paying $200,000 for a Chevy, but at the same time you get a lot of supercar for your money.